All right, we are back. Another game in the Myth World Cup 2007 finals. This game is actually game one of sudden death. So NP Cox came in as the top bracket championship. 12 tasks, just won that initial best of 7 series. They actually won 4 games to 2. The scoring was such that it didn't even make sense to play the 7th game. No way for Thundercocks to come back and win, even if they had gotten max points. So as a result, here we are looking at game one. So 12 tasks as a second seed gets to pick the next map. Thundercocks, the number 1 seed, chose Acts of Cruelty for this first game. So here they've got 3 whites. This is pretty standard stuff. You usually see at least 2. They may sink one or they may pop all 3. The key with whites here is basically there's 3 ambient pus. For 3 of these goals, the other 6 are going to be taking small pus. That enables them to effectively counter the other team's FGs. If you see groups of melee units without a goal or an FG nearby, that FG can basically slap unlimited numbers of melee. Couple Solace, no Thrall Elite. Contrast that with Ska's Trade, where we've got fewer goals, only 1 white, same number of Morts, and some Thrall Elite. I don't love Thrall Elite here. They typically seem to just get slapped by FGs, but they are okay at holding a flag. I think Thundercocks picked this map probably because they're thinking it would be hard for name changers to do a really aggressive strategy. The story of that first series really was Thundercocks coming out and playing pretty passive. 3 reactive flanks, Ska's team doing something very aggressive, catching them off guard and sort of shifting the dynamic. We do see them popping the whites. They choose to pop all 3. Unfortunately, no large pus, but you know your 6 goals still are able to grab a bunch of small pus. 12 tasks also pops their white, also no large pus. So some slight differences already. You'll notice that NP Cox is really doing a 2-prong with just 1 FG. Interesting, they do run their FG north and are rushing to the flag south as well. So what this means is they are the first to get 4 flags. That matters in territories because you are scoring based on who wins the perm. If you tied 3 flags to 3 flags, the team that had the highest number of tags first in a match takes the victory. So right away, that is going to make, at some point, 12 tasks will have to be on offense. Usually it won't matter because games aren't coming down to ties or super reactive that much, but it is a small win. So I think this is a weird flank here for 12 tasks. Fire's got 4 Morts, some Thrall Elite, and no goal. If Zur had crossed, he could slap all of this. You do have Jeshius here that's hanging out. He would have come over to support, maybe Limp as well. But my question, I guess, is will Limp hang out here all game, or will he eventually, leave this flank exposed? Similar pack mid. So I'd be interested to know from one of the name changers what the thought here was, having 2 guys have 4 Morts and having 3 players on dedicated Zerk packs. That's pretty strange. I'm not sure that I've seen that done. Much more common tactic is to split up into Mort Zerk squads. So you've got Ars and Grim South, you've got Chickenwire and Orlando the Axe mid. Again, just curious what the thought process and strategy was. So Zur's left the north. He's come mid here to harass. Limp is shadowing, so that goal is what's keeping him from going and basically slapping all the fire's units. Goal takes a little bit of damage, but nothing too serious. So at this point, 12 Test is sort of hemmed in, unless they want to cross here. This is not a flank you want to cross with, though, because he's going to be so slow to move back. So eventually, at some point, you're either going to have to push south or win a mid fight. You've got 4 Morts to the north facing, basically nothing. 1 Zerk. He is shifting a bit to cover mid, while Donsky is shifting to the south. So 12 tasks realizing they are going to have to get aggressive. You've got a whole bunch of them pushing south. But again, these dedicated Zerk packs have no mortars. So, unless they're planning on trying to rush this, I don't know what they're going to be able to do. Rushing 4 Morts would be quite hard. So I'm not sure. Mid CW and OTA can't really push. It's pretty easy for Donsky to hold this off. There is a little ledge on the edge of this land here, so Morts that are standing up here do have greater distance. We've got some FGs posturing here. Even health. It does look like Adren is taking a little bit of damage. We'll see how this goes. Okay, again, Zerg packs are now pulling back. Like I said, I mean, there really wasn't much they were going to be doing pushing 4 Morts. Chicken Wire, for some reason... okay, so we do have a pus. A successful pus from Paris's goal. Justius's FG is dead. Oh, no, he didn't die. Wow. So anytime you get hit by a pus, it's typically the end because they are pus for so long. Justice pus does miss. He runs back in thinking that Adren is in trouble. Not good. So pretty unfortunate blunder there. At this point, some of the previous things that I'd mentioned, okay, they did finally hand out some Morts. So now Limp and Shyster also have Morts. But they've waited to do this until an FG is already dead. That's concerning. I think they're going to have, obviously, being down one of your most powerful units, they're going to have a really tough time. They're not going to be able to shadow these FGs on the side of Thundercocks. Adren's FG also got beat up. So will be very tough. They're going to have to count on goals to successfully hold off the FGs. And remember, they didn't trade for more than one white. They only had the one white. They had fewer goals to begin with. They've already used a couple of pus. So, again, I think at this point it's going to be very difficult for them to hold off the Forest Giants from Thundercocks from running away with the game. Moving along, so typical mortar dancing. We see here Tiri is trying to take advantage of the fact that there's not any pus here at all that can stop him. These goals were too far away. So he's able to just come in and slap this up until the point where Shyster's goal reinforces. Mid doesn't have to do anything, so Chicken Wire can just sit around. Same thing, Ars and Grim can push a bit. They do have a mortar advantage. And they're under no threat for the Forest Giants. So only 11% lead. Doesn't seem like a lot, but when you only have one Forest Giant, it certainly feels like a lot more than that. So mistake here. I don't know if this miscommunication on the part of Adren or on the part of Fire, but Shyster basically leaves Fire here by himself. He basically gets crushed immediately. Yeah, just trying to think. They don't have a sunk white. So, you've got Adren now going on a tagging adventure. Not a whole lot he could have done, but had he been here and Shyster was closer to Fire, maybe that doesn't get slapped. But at this point, it's a 20% lead. Even with this goal, it's only one pus. So that pus doesn't hit. But again, even if it hits, one FG is going to be enough to clean up the Zerks. He does do a very good job of freezing Tiri's FG. There is 50 seconds left, so that went, as good as it possibly could have gone. And that's still not very good. Just an unfortunate game. I think 12 tests were always going to have a hard time with this, just based off of unit distribution, the trade, and kind of where they set up. They certainly made it a lot harder for themselves when Josh lost his FG and Adren got taken down to half health. Short of some colossal mistake in understanding the game type, this should be all she wrote. So from here, this next game will be up to 12 tasks to determine what map and game they want to play. Hopefully they've got an interesting strategy prepared. On NP Cox's pick, pretty decisive victory coming out of here from the NP Cox team. So MVP of the game, Paris. I think that checks out. His plus on that FG was the deciding factor, I think, of the whole game. Adrin did pump out some good damage. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. And then I feel, having two guys, Fire and Donsky, with some Thrall Elite and 4 Morts is not really putting either of them in a position for success, unfortunately. So interesting spin, right? In the first 6 games of the match, it's pretty clearly Peacocks was on their back foot, 12 tasks, using very aggressive strategies, throwing them off and dictating the pace of the game. This went a different way, which you might expect, considering Peacocks got to pick the map. So with that, we will go to the next game.